Yo, my peoples, what's up? Welcome to 5 and 9 in a one-stop co-op shop, where I tell you 5 things you need to know about a game in less than 9 minutes, I promise. Today I'm talking about Canvas, as well as its first big expansion, Reflections. Isn't that nice? This is a 1 to 4 player game in which you are playing painters, crafting 3 masterpieces that will satisfy different scoring conditions. It is a card drafting and set collection game in which you are drafting cards that are translucent and you're sticking them in sleeves. What they call card crafting. Think of Mystic Veil or Edge of Darkness innovated this. This one is taking that motif and bringing it down to the family weight. This game is very much good for non-gamers, brings them in, and it's beautiful and it's short, 10, 15 minutes maximum. Does it have enough meat on the bone to satisfy the solo gamer as well? I'll tell you what I think. This review is going to be a little bit different. I'm going to provide my top 4 points for the base game, and I'm going to reserve a final point for the expansion, Reflections. Disclaimer, I was provided a review copy for Canvas as well as the expansion, Reflections. My number 4, which is going to be a huge draw for the game, especially for non-gamers or folks who want kind of a casual experience, the art, the componentry, a clear pro. So you have the translucent cards, and you have a whole bunch of translucent cards. I mean, you have over 70 or so of them, different ones, and some of the darkest ones and curtains. You have all sorts of stuff going on here, and they come together to make beautiful pictures. You can play a game with your family where you can put it together and, get the scoring off of it, but also you could just admire the picture and see who made the best picture. From a aesthetic experience, you're not going to beat Canvas. My number 3, and this is specifically from a solo perspective, is the replayability aspect, which I'm going to end on as a mix. Reason being is, from a family perspective, you're going to play this a couple of times. It's going to draw people in. It's a very simple game. Even non-gamers will find some fun here, so I definitely recommend it from that perspective. From solo, I think we've come to expect a little bit more meat on the bone, and also the ability to play this multiple times, over and over and over again. That's what solo gamers like to do. So from a component perspective, as beautiful as they are, removing and tucking the cards in and out can create a little bit of problems. You might damage your componentry along the way. In a solo card game, you can just sleeve the cards and forget them. Here, you're constantly taking cards in and out. That could be a little bit of a difficulty. Also, if you play with one of the variants in particular, you're constantly going to be, sliding cards, removing cards, sliding cards, removing cards. Kind of reminded me a little bit of the shuffling that you do in an Oniverse game. So I don't mind, but I know there's a lot of people who are totally turned off by the management in between the decision spaces, and Canvas has a little bit of that. From a purely mechanical perspective, it's important to note that this is a pretty distilled version of a set collection game. A lot of times you're going to get solo games that have a couple of things going on, like they have a little bit of a deck builder aspect, or especially a sense of multi-use cards, like I could discard a card and be able to futz with the market, whatever. Here it is pretty straightforward set collection. So that could be a draw for you. For me, I want a little bit more of those gamer buttons to push in my solo experiences, but I can totally see if you want that specific experience of the symbol matching and set collection, then this game does that in a very clean way. My number 2, a definite pro, are the modular scoring goals. Here are some of those available in the base game, and there are plenty more. If you get the expansion and they all shuffle in, you can really vary up your experience. It accomplishes the goal of making each game feel very different depending on the kind of goals you have. Some of them are similar, so like, finding the patterns, just like, okay, which pattern do you want? But then you might have a game where you're trying to complete sets of colors, but then the next game, that's not there, and you have to change your brain. You're expecting to want to complete those colors rows, but then you're challenged to complete something else. And then something like this, you think you have something that's excellent, but then you forget, oh my God, I have 3 circles in here. I was only supposed to have 1. I'm not going to get this. I love that. I love how the layout of the scoring cards challenged me to recalibrate mentally with every game I played. Very well done, my number 2. One other very quick thing to note about the scoring. The temptation is going to be to quote unquote shoot the moon, to try to get combinations that will fulfill all 4 conditions. I mention it here because there's a positive. It's very brain burning. It's very challenging. You're going to want to wring the market out for every last bit so that you can get these for the negative. A lot of AP. There's no real shortcuts. There's no gamer buttons to try to get yourself to a high score. It's just, do you notice the symbol combination that will get you the 4? So you're going to stare at those transparencies a lot. Some people don't think AP is an issue at all, especially in solo. For some, that might be an issue. Just wanted to flag that. That's a definite mix as a part of the assessment of the goals. My number one, the thing that keeps me coming back over and over again from a mechanical perspective to the solo play here, are the paint tokens and the decision space that they open up. So you don't want to just be able to grab the best card. That would be a little bit boring. It's kind of like a solvable puzzle. In this particular case, what they've done is said, okay, so if you want the card, let's say where the best card appeared here, you can grab it, but you got to use your paint tokens. And if you use your paint tokens, then you won't have any for future good cards. So then the decision becomes, do I grab this awesome card that's useful for me now, or do I take the suboptimal choice and use the resources to grab a card later, now or later, push or pull? Creating that decision space was just so well done. I find multiple times per game, I'm torn genuinely between having banking these things and going for a card that I want. That's exactly the decision I want in a game like this. Very well done. My number one. So a bonus one, my quick reflections on Canvas. Reflections, the first big expansion. So as you see, you have the increased cards, different goals. The big innovation here are the mirror cards. So you see you have the arrows right there. You can flip that. That gives you another option. You can put in both of sides of the transparency and have different symbols. You could not do that in the base game. So the back of the box pitches that as more choice, more ability to fulfill the different goals. For me, it crossed a threshold where I felt like the game added inputs and didn't really give me a lot of ability to sift through those options and translate things into stuff that would score. So there are some people who I played with who really loved it. They felt that the base game was a little bit too easy and they liked having more tools to play with. For me, it just felt like more input rather than giving me more to solve. So ultimately, it's going to be a mix. Leans con for me, but it might be exactly what you need to open up Canvas for you. So that was Canvas with the expansion Reflections. It's a keeper for me for solo because I feel like it slides right into an Oniverse-esque experience. The art definitely helps that, but it just puts me in that same headspace of like I sink in, I have a good experience for whatever it is, 15, 20 minutes, and then I'm ready to shuffle up and go again. The difference between an Oniverse game and this one is the former tend to have a lot more gamer buttons. You know, you can kind of do this or do that and get different outcomes. Here, it mostly relies on your powers of observation. And if you don't like that, if that doesn't sound appealing to you, if you find that you want a little bit more to play with, then Canvas might not be the game for you. But if that sounds cool, if you want to rely on that very sumptuous experience in terms of the paintings and also just a little bit at the end where you can kind of describe the painting, there's so much else going on here. And it has the benefit of going up to 4 players and being really good to play with families as well. Really glad that I've discovered this game and I plan on looking into all the future expansions. I showed the boxes, right? They go together into a panorama, and I have a feeling different expansions, you can go ahead and check crowdfunding on the publisher website. They're going to follow up and complete that panorama with more expansions, and I am in. This is Jason with the One Stop Co-op Shop, reminding you that we'll see you at the next stop.